Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland is the best coaster in Canada. This B&M Giga coaster is filled with high speeds and sustained airtime. In this video, I will review Leviathan and see how great of a coaster this is. How Leviathan came to be started in 2006. That was the year Cedar Fair acquired Canada's Wonderland and the rest of the Paramount parks. Before 2006, Wonderland's coaster lineup was very shitty. Their best coaster at the time was Vortex. It's an underrated aerodynamic suspended coaster from 1991. While Vortex is a great intense coaster, it should not be a standout coaster. Every other coaster here is like gangsters attempting to jump you with a shotgun and a baseball bat. To rectify this, Cedar Fair contacted B&M to build Behemoth, a hypercoaster for 2008. I'll cover Behemoth another day, but I will say is that this has a lot of fun floater airtime. Cedar Fair was delighted with Behemoth, so they brought back B&M to build a larger and faster Behemoth. This would be Leviathan. Leviathan is classified as a B&M hyper. The coaster stands 306 feet, 93 meters tall, with a top speed of 92 miles per hour or 148 kilometers per hour, and traverses 5,486 feet, 1,672 meters of track. These stats make it one of only 7 Giga coasters out there, which is a coaster that stands between 300 to 400 feet tall. It is one of 7 coasters in existence right now to be of that height. This already makes Leviathan noteworthy and a big push for me to go to Wonderland. And its monstrous layout towers over the front of the park. Leviathan is a front gate parking lot coaster. And I do mean parking lot coaster because the coaster is built on and next to this huge parking lot. This means the coaster makes a great first impression on the viewers. Now, don't expect any theming with Leviathan, as the queue line, station, and layout are bare bones. The only resemblance to theming is this tunnel and the ride sign. This is unfortunate because Leviathan gets one of the longest lines in the park. Canada's Wonderland is infamous for having massive crowds that swamp all of the major rides. During my lone visit, Leviathan had an hour-long queue all day, and the queue didn't die out either. So you're stuck in a series of queue lines and a staircase into the station. The good news is that Wonderland has fantastic operations, so the lines does at least move at a consistent pace. Now, you could either run to it in the morning or wait later in the day for a shorter queue, but I went for the expensive option and bought Fastlane. This was expensive, but it was worth it since Fastlane was 5 minutes at max. But if you need to, there are single shots available for Leviathan. When you reach the station, there is a grouper to assign you a row. Now, I don't know if the normal queue does this, but in the Fastlane, operators weren't exactly allowing preferred seating. If a row is empty, you can request it, but you can't exactly get a row that's already been filled. It's extremely dependent on the grouper. Luckily, as a single rider boarding a B&M Hyper, single seats would appear, so I got to ride both the front and the back. When you board, you have the usual B&M Hyper clamshells and seat belts. These lap bars are fantastic as they are quite comfortable and allow for maximum airtime. The ride begins with a right U-turn into the 306-foot, 93-meter tall lift hill. Due to its sheer size, reaching the peak takes a bit of effort, but you can see everything for miles. Because you are facing away from the park, all you can see are the nearby businesses and homes. Then you descend this big drop. Leviathan has one of the best drops in the world. B&M Hypers in general already have great first drops due to the sustained flowjector airtime. Leviathan has that flowjector air, but because of the extra height, it lasts much longer. Several seconds of sustained flowjector airtime. This makes it one of the best drops of all time, and it's the best element on this Giga. The next element is this big overbank, which turns to the right. This overbank turn pulls a bit of G-force, but only provides the weakest of floater. This isn't exactly an issue exclusive to Leviathan, as I find the majority of turning elements to be lackluster. What this element does excel in is showcasing its blistering speed. At 92 miles per hour, or 148 kilometers per hour, the sense of speed is Leviathan's biggest pro. You fly through this overbank at a quick pace where the wind is rushing to your face, so the intensity is felt a bit. But the best element that showcases Leviathan's speed is this speed hill. This speed hill is fast and low to the ground, so the airtime is borderline ejector, which yanks you upwards with force. Due to the low height, the speed speed is felt to the fullest, so the wind in your face is powerful. It also banks slightly to the left, so there's also a kick of lateral banking. Next is a classic camelback. Camelbacks are a staple on B&M Hypers as they provide sustained floater airtime. Leviathan has that great floater airtime that makes this element great. The rise and fall gracefully lifts you out of your seat. It's just a bit more sustained than usual due to the extra height and speed. Next is this overbank turnaround, and I'm sorry, but this turnaround sucks. While you still feel the full speed, this turnaround offers little to no force. What pisses me off the most is that this isn't the only coaster that has a weak turnaround. On a lot of out and back coasters, the turnaround serves no purpose other than turning the train around. It's evident when you look at Behemoth's turnaround. Luckily, the next element is another speed hill banking to the right. Like the first one, this speed hill is also low to the ground, so you still feel the sense of speed. The airtime and laterals are also there, but they aren't as pronounced as the first speed hill. Next is another classic camelback. Like the first camelback, this hill provides sustained floater airtime, so the feeling is similar to the first camelback. This one is just a tad weaker due to the lesser size and speed. Leviathan has shown excellent speed and pacing. The drops and hills deliver excellent airtime as far as B&Ms go, while the overbank turns don't do crap for me. You cruise them so fast that it doesn't disrupt the pacing. However, by this point, you start to slow down a bit. The next element is a smaller overbank hill similar to the first one. This element has some amount of G-force, but is an overall weak element. This leads to the biggest joke of Leviathan. You rise into what looks like a mid-course brake run. To a certain extent, it is a mid-course brake run, but when you reach the mid-course, you realize this is the fucking final brakes, cause after the mid-course is a shallow slope of brake runs into the station. It's actually a joke how big this brake run is because it has to be at least 80 feet. Pretty sure this brake run is about your size from how much McDonald's your fat has been eating. This brake run is literally taller than the Aero Looper Dragonfire right underneath it. That looper is 78 feet, which compared to Leviathan makes Dragonfire look like a kiddie coaster, and I'm pretty sure they're planning to remove it soon. Now I understand why Leviathan needs that block zone. With the crowds that Canada's Wonderland receives, they pretty much need to run at least 3 trains with this brake run. However, this brake run is a byproduct of the ride's biggest flaw, the duration. While Leviathan has a long track length, you feel like the coaster's too short, like it's missing an element or two. That's most likely because the excess height and speed needs more drawn out elements to burn off more speed. So there's actually only a handful amount of elements, and when a third of them lacks force, it makes the overall ride feel a bit shorter. However, the great elements of Leviathan make up for its shortcomings. The sense of speed and flowjector airtime is what makes Leviathan special. 2 other things I'll mention real quick here are the smoothness and reliability. B&M usually excels in both of these areas, and the same applies here. Leviathan barely has a hint of a rattle, so you can enjoy the airtime without any discomfort. And the high reliability means you don't have to worry about the ride screwing you over. So what would I rate Leviathan? I give it a 90 out of 100. Most of those points are for the few airtime hills, while a few are for the decent presentation and operations. Leviathan is a powerhouse of speed that rushes you in the wind. While the airtime isn't as plentiful as something like Behemoth, the airtime of Leviathan is more powerful for B&M standards. This is why Leviathan is the best coaster in Canada, which isn't really saying much considering the next 3 contenders are also B&M Hypers and a janky wooden coaster. But that doesn't take away the qualities of Leviathan. But this coaster low-key makes me mad because this coaster should not have been my first Giga. I only say that because I previously encountered 2 other Gigas in my travels. They are Fury 325 at Carowinds and Pantherian at King's Dominion. I've seen and passed both of these coasters while on the highway. Here's a video of a closed Carowinds when I passed by there in 2020. The reason I've yet to ride both, which frankly makes me very mad, was because when I passed by both of these parks, they just so happened to be closed when I drove past by. Fury especially hurts badly because not only is that a top 25 coasters, I had that scenario happen to me twice. Would have happened a 3rd time if it wasn't for the fact that I didn't want to go skiing again. With King's Dominion and Pantherian, I was at least heading to Busch Gardens Williamsburg because that park was the only thing open within a 4-hour radius. So Busch Gardens at least softens the blow for King's Dominion. But even if those Gigas are objectively better, Leviathan is still an excellent coaster you should try out, especially if you've never ridden a Giga or been to Canada. So that is my review of Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland. Since most Giga rankings are similar to one another, how do you rate this in comparison to other hypers out there? Leave all that down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, which if you watched to the end it means you did, please smash with force the like button. Also, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications. That way you'll be alerted next time I upload a video. Doing this convinces the YouTube algorithm to push this content to more viewers. Finally, watch these other videos because I'm down bad right now and I need money. This is the Coaster Flood, riding out.